the bill not being assented is pretty much like a lorry rolling down on a slope. What happens once the parliamentary convenes? What is the next plan of action? Because what happens is, I think from where I stand, it's more or less like just open your mouth and don't ask what goes down your gut. Like just take in everything. I'm the one in charge of what is, releasing the pressure, and you just have to take everything. But from where we stand as citizens, what is the best of action we can do in terms of what our rights are, given that we know the document has actually caused a loss of lives to so many people, and we don't have answers yet. And even for him to say, let's have a sit down and talk about A, B, C, and D, we're still not getting the answers. As per yesterday, there are still people who are getting. He actually said it himself. The guys who banned Parliament, we are coming after you. And out of 10, you're not sure how many guys are innocent, because so many people are just. He said 23. We know more than 300 people have died. So that I think those are the two questions I really want someone to just like expound my knowledge on them, and then I'll hand over and just sit back and listen. Thank you for everything. And Mizani, thanks for the space as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Katie. If you don't mind me, could you summarize your two questions so that we can allow somebody that didn't catch them?
Yeah.
The two questions,
So
please.
my two questions is we understand what was happening in Durai was basically because the mace was stolen. I don't know how true that is, but just from the little knowledge I have is the mace is missing, and that's why there was so much of whatever was happening in 44. So with knowing what the mace means to the house, and it not being, if it's not found yet as is, can the parliament still go ahead and reconvene and pass laws as it is? Can it be replaced? Can they get another one? What is the meaning of that? Number one. And then second question is, we know the parliament is on recess and they're coming back after 21 days. Let me say 14 days. And we know the bill wasn't assented to. We have 2 weeks for it to be, reviewed, and then all the whatever's voted on, and then A, B, C, and D. So in case they come back and you still have the yeses saying yes and pushing the thing the way they want, the way most of them are talking online, what does that mean to us as citizens? And what is the best of action you can do? Because this guy came to us and said, okay, I've heard your voice. I'm not going to assent to it. I'm taking it back to Parliament for hearing, ABC, blah, blah, blah. But we all know it might just be like, trying to paint, you're trying to tap on my back in terms of like trying to suit me, but I know you're holding my knife behind me as well. What is the next thing you can do to that?
Thank you very much, KD, for that. Before I go to Apollo, Annabelle, you want to give us maybe quick responses if you don't mind? Annabelle?
Hi, Mizani, I'm back. Unfortunately, I was attending to something here, so please just recap those two questions, and I'll tell you which one I can respond to. Just the two questions.
Yeah. Two questions. One, Parliament is in recess, and the President has referred the motion back to the House, and in his writing memo, he told Parliament that he does not agree to the bill, I believe so. And to that extent, all the clauses also he instructed that be dealt away with. So technically speaking, what does that implicate? Is this just a delayed tactic that once Parliament reconvene, they can also choose to disagree with President? That is the question that KD wants clarify. Number two, there is the maze issue, but I believe, KD, I'm trying to mute you.
Can I just ask for her to, like, for me to just like paint my message, if you don't mind?
Proceed.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so my questions were number one, we know when the president doesn't assent to a bill, it has a certain duration for it to be reviewed, and then by the House, and then now they look after over it, and then the next procedure comes on. So what if these guys come back and just still go on and vote it to be assented to by the president, even after the country having said they're not comfortable with the document? What is the next thing as a nation, as the Z's and everybody who's against the bill, the everyone who's spoken about it? What is the next thing you can do? Or does it mean once it's signed to it, that is the end of it? And then the second question is with regards to the House. We know the mace was lost, and you know what the mace means to the House. Can they pass any bill without it, or can it be replaced? I think that's it.
On the second one, I am not an expert yet on matters parliamentary proceedings, but yes, the mace is an important instrument. Of course, the speaker has said mace iko haikuenda missing, but we all saw it on the street, all right? We also it leaving parliament. We didn't see it going back. So perhaps what they need to tell us is whether they had a backup or whatever it is. But I don't believe, because of how stringent parliamentary proceedings tend to be, one, I don't believe anybody ever envisioned a scenario where the mace was not there. So I do not believe, this is a personal opinion, not an expert opinion, I do not believe Parliament is properly constituted, and therefore, as far as I'm concerned, anything they have done post Tuesday has most likely been an illegality. And if some of you also saw the video by Bensouda, the woman rep, I believe, for Homa Bay, she jetted back into the country, was it on Wednesday morning, and went to Parliament, and she was saying she found that even Kenya Kwanza guys were sitting on the side of the minority to make Parliament look like it was properly constituted, which tells you Azimio guys were not in the House. So whatever it is they also did on Wednesday morning. Now, question on the finance bill. You'll remember when I was speaking, I gave the analogy kwa mteremko iko free, hakuna kurudi nyuma. That thing, whatever it is the president purported to do is just for show. That thing is becoming law. But I also said Otiende Amolo, to salvage the situation, has drafted a bill which, if made act, will have the effect of deleting the provisions of the Finance Act, as it will then be. And what we now need is to apply pressure for Otiende's bill to be set into motion by Speaker of the National Assembly. But then again, remember, we're still asking questions on whether Parliament is actually properly constituted. Governments have been known to lie before. I would not be surprised if they're lying to us. Or tunaweza fanya hii kazi yote alafu somewhere along the way, it is all undone. But right now, if we were to assume that Parliament is properly constituted, our saving grace is Otiende Amolo's bill. So that is why I also gave you the example of the blacklist and that network of guys who tell you who is where. Ako kwa hoteli fulani, ako kwa library fulani. We need to keep tabs on our elected representatives to that extent. Me, I was saying, by the way, I've been telling my friends, we need to get to the place where hata ukikutana naye kwa super na unajua kesho kuna bill inaenda to the floor of the house na unataka vote no, unamwambia wewe kesho vote no. We need to get to that place.
Thank you very much, Bell. And just to the issue of the maze, according to the reports I am aware of, the house that was attacked was the Senate, and it is also alleged maze was from that side of the house. Prof. Fred, if you can mute kindly, once we are ready, we'll admit you to speak.
Mizani, on the issue of the mace, there is you remember when they were passing the security bill on when Justin Muturi was the speaker, the previous parliament?
Yes.
There was, yes, they reconsidered to have a substitute mace also. So there was a spare one in parliament.
All right. It will be an interesting tell until we really have the facts as they come once they become public. But again, I agree with you. There's a substitute maze in the event of eventualities. But at the same time, there were also allegations that this came from the Senate and not really from the National Assembly. It's a matter of wait and see. I can't say that. Let's now proceed to the new speakers. And we'll be completing this space in the next 1 hour. So I will request all the new speakers now to start making their submissions. If you have 3 minutes, kindly maximize them. Okay, Kenyan lady, what's eating you up?
I'm actually trying to put my hand down to give the others to speak, but I wanted to say, I think the report from Wetangula, they said that was the dummy mace. I don't know what that means, and that's how they were able actually to pass the motion for them to go on recess. Remember, you guys, there was a lot of submissions and presentations, like I think 2 days ago, on whether they should go to recess or not. So they have passed laws after that. So walisema mace ati it was just a dummy one. It's not the real one. So yeah.
I guess at this juncture we want to call on Africa Uncensored to go to work. Kenya needs them. Apollo, welcome to the talk.
Can I just say something first before? Just a little.
Thank you.
Let's allow Apollo, please.
May I go ahead, please?
Let's allow Apollo.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
All right. So I am going to make 2 points. The context of which is this: the Kenyan election. I'm a Gen X. Kenya's election process has always been about an aspiring member of the National Assembly spending their own money to find out the pain points of their constituents, or imagine the pain points of their constituents, or imagine the weak areas of their constituents. And they spend their resources to hustle their way, end up in the National Assembly, find ways to recoup their expenses, make a profit, and then live largely aloof of the needs of their constituents. All right? I think the crisis of the moment sort of provides an opportunity to turn this over its head, so that we get to a point where electoral politics is about people forming an agenda for their representatives, helping the representatives best suited to champion their agenda, ascend into power, and then that representative, as a servant, being accountable to the public. That is not happening right now. So the 2 points I'm going to make is, one, we're currently in a situation where there is demand for a national dialogue. And then on the other hand, there is pushback that we do not have leaders to send to a national dialogue. We want to meet out in the open Twitter space, all right? And then there is a middle ground composed of individuals posting lists of irreducible minimums, 5 to 10. I've seen a list of 30 today. Now, leveraging on this middle ground, I would like to challenge a credible media entity. It could even be Mizani, right? How about curating a list of 100 pain points that Kenyans face, all right? We note that the finance bill was the last straw, but there's many other pain points, including things like shoddy road construction, extortion by traffic police on every major highway in the country, poor investment in education. So if a credible entity like Mizani can go through the social sphere and curate a list of about 100 pain points, all right? Invite legal and professional experts to frame these pain points within the context of the Constitution, all the applicable laws globally, and best practices and standards, all right? So that we have a really proper list of curated 100 irreducible minimums, all right? And then these 100 pain points are to be solved over the next 100 days, okay? There are 54 million Kenyans, so we cannot present a list of 10 points or of 10 pain points to represent all of us, okay? And then the government is also large. They're already well structured. There's a lot of personnel, right? So they can begin working in parallel on this 100 irreducible minimums, okay? And then my second point is, which is the flip side of this challenge I have posed to Mizani, is that then the public, through Twitter, through other social media, can begin to monitor and evaluate the resolution of these pain points over the next 100 days, okay? Because the pain points will already have been structured within the context of law, local and international, and then within the context of standards, the conversation is going to be mature, is going to be properly focused, you're going to have richer conversations around how each of these pain points is going to be resolved. Okay, and then the beauty of engaging the public in resolution of these pain points is that this can now become an institutionalized, ongoing process for the public to monitor and check actions of both national and county government. So in summary, this crisis provides an opportunity for deep public participation and rework of how the government works. And that is my humble submission.
Thank you very much, Apollo Sunday. Very humble, but very articulate in what you are proposing. And I do believe now we are having those uncomfortable truth and conversations on what we need to be doing. Thank you very much. Let's go to, I know, Joe, you're waiting. I will request you be a bit patient. Let's start with Professor Fred. You've been waiting.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mizani. Good morning.
Good morning to this side of the world. How are you doing? And welcome to this space.
I'm doing good, Mizani. Thank you so much for this platform, for this space, rather. I've heard so many speakers speak here. And actually, I want to concur with one of the speakers, Annabelle. Yes, I won't talk much because if I start talking too much, I think I'll consume a lot of time, and we don't have that time. So I just want to go to basics. Number one, Annabelle talked about our savior bill from one Honorable Dr. Otiende Amolo. Actually, she's very true. We know very well that the kind of leadership we have is actually a leadership bent on what we call lies, to manipulate, to misappropriate, and to acquire wealth. That's their main role, and that is the truth. Because we saw this with the Finance Bill 2024, and they really showed us that they are not interested in, they are not focused on people, they are not interested in effectiveness, and they don't have emphasis on philosophy, core values, and shared goals that they had with us when they were campaigning. And so I want to urge our Generation Z and the youth to be very careful with the leadership we have right now. The communique from Felix Koskei, the head of public service and chief of staff, is set off a trap. It's sort of a commission of inquiry disguised. We've had these commissions for inquiries from, I don't know, after independence and what have you, and they've never given us any solution. So that is a trap when such a communication comes through in the media and whatever, that the youth should choose to or elect 2 people or appoint 2 people, civil society and what have you. That's a trap. We say that the Generation Z spoke loud and clear, and they say they are leaderless. And so we want to focus our issues in this space. This is our platform. So we are not interested in sending representatives because we don't have those representatives. Let us just have our issues addressed here. The president and his team can just join here. We address those issues here. That is what I answer right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Here and now is what you're suggesting. We don't want to fall into a trap. I'm going to go to now Erickson. And Erickson, as you come in, we have really traveled a mile to look at what is ailing us and what we should be doing. But the suggestion of the pointers that government has issued as the discussion points seem not to be palatable to a lot of Kenyans. I don't know from where you sit, what's your opinion on this, and what are your proposals? Apollo has given us a very interesting approach. And Apollo, you can be sure my colleagues are already working on that because that's what we do best. Erickson.
Yes, good morning, Kenyans. First of all, I'd like to say that we should not, as we speak about Parliament...
Erickson, can you get your mic a little bit closer? Sure, proceed.
So I was saying good morning, and one of the things I want to mention is that first of all, let's not put under the carpet the fact that we've lost so many good Kenyans, young people, and someone should be held accountable. Now, let me go to Parliament. As Annabelle has spoken most of what I wanted to address, so I will not go into it. I'll just do the touch points. So the first touch point is that, yeah, I also vied in the last election under the very unpopular at that time Punguza Mizigo initiative, which is what the GenZs want. They want to reduce parliament. They want to reduce the excesses. And in parliament, they don't want the leaders to behave like the bourgeoisie. So I really understand where Annabelle is coming from when she speaks like that. So let's go to parliament. Let's not forget that this is a bicameral house. So constitutional experts will tell you very well that if a mace is not part of the house, anything that is passed does not hold any water. That is number one. We should not forget we have a bicameral house. Doesn't matter if the mace was a dummy or what. Number two, the Gen Z and millennials getting into parliament was a vote of no confidence in this parliament. Let me move on very fast. The Felix Koskei put out what he put out there in the media. That is what we call delaying tactics, because we had NADCO 1 where we were supposed to reconstitute the IEBC. It was never debated in parliament after gobbling up 110 million. So let's not fall for these traps. The last one is a lot of people have been speaking about the solutions. I would say that the revolution as now is being held under siege. Under what grounds am I saying this? Because there are only two ways of getting this, either through putting pressure to the government or having a constitutional process to actually get our demands to be met. So number one, putting the government under pressure, we risk losing a lot of lives, and we don't want that, but we will continue with that. Number two, the constitutional process is very clear. Right now, without the reconstitution of the IBC, we cannot do that. Number two challenge, the Gen Zs did not register as voters. 8 million never voted, 5 million never registered. So we are under siege here. So what is the working formula? I will give a solution here as a Kenyan. I was part of the process of amending the constitution through popular initiative, Punguza Mizigo Kenya. That document went through IBC, it went through the county assemblies, so it is a document on the table. And I was drawing parallels between what us Gen Zs and millennials were asking for vis-a-vis what was in Punguza Mizigo Kenya. It is a reflection in the mirror. So I think that is one avenue we should look at moving forward for us not to lose this spark. And just to make it clear is that parliament is dead. Even the other day they went ahead to gazette the KDF being deployed, then went back to parliament the next day to do that. That is subversion of the constitution. I will give other space, and thank you for giving this opportunity, and the struggle continues.
Thank you very much, Erickson. I wish ungetupunguzia mizigo, lakini umetuongezea kazi. We have been here with other faithful Kenyans discussing Kenyan matters for now 11 hours on the clock. We still have 1 hour to call it a night, and definitely would have had our day on national dialogue on the very uncomfortable truth we need to be discussing. Now, the last part of this conversation will focus on just what you mentioned, elections and the role of the young people in ensuring that they elect the leaders of their choice. Again, we have heard that there's always interferences on who becomes the elected member. But how then do we convert this rage that we've had and this energy and these big numbers, not only just to become voters, but to become decisive voice of how our country will be governed? To that effect, I want to welcome Bonnie, who has been waiting. And Bonnie, you might have had previous submissions to make, but now we are switching the gears and looking at the young people, their demand for better governance, and what role they play in elections, rather than just being a source of votes. Go ahead, Bonnie.
Okay, thank you, Mizani. Good morning, everyone. I think the The platform has given us more knowledge and has really educated us. So I don't want to divert away from whatever from the topic. Looking at recapping the statements of the speaker who has just spoken, that 8 million did not vote. And then we have another additional 5 million that didn't register as voters. And then each year we have additional 1 million new voters because the people who attain age of 18 who leave school, Form 4, when you look at the KCSE, the graduates, it's about 1 million. So we are saying that by practically, if you look at those numbers and figures, practically we are saying that we have 8 million plus 5 million plus another 5 million for 5 years. So that is whooping 18 million voices that can be heard and that can change this situation. Now, what do we need to do so that we have this block making the right decision? Because now the issue when it comes to election is making the right decision. I really admire, though sometimes we remain apolitical, but you find that their region where they go for specialists or for people who are well learned and educated, so that when you go to parliament and you look at the quality of even of debate, there is one side where you find that they debate out of reason and they debate according to the law. And then we have another group of leaders who even cannot speak or even they cannot articulate their issues in parliament. And why do we get here? We get here because we make wrong choices when it comes to election. Even as now the GenZs has shown us the direction, but you find that along the way, if we are not careful, we are going to be divided in whatever way. They'll craft a way in which to divide us. So basically, what we are saying is, for us to make a real change now and for the future. People have talked about Ruto must go. Now, if today it happens, I know previous speakers have talked about it, but if today it happens that we have kicked out the president of the State House, and we don't have an IBC, and we don't have parliament, what country do we have? You see, so we must be true that we need to follow the law and also the constitution. Annabelle has been very elaborate and has really elaborated the functions of an MP with a lot of precision. But is it necessary? Can we do away with this secondary function that is the CDF? Because now when you look also the CDF mostly is used for cosmetic things, not really what it's meant for. Because now if we get that, we're saying that as a country we don't have money, but we use CDF money to buy school buses. You see, that is for me it's a cosmetic function, and even it's also a loophole of which now these parliamentarians, they get a chance to steal, and that's why we have a quality of I say that not really a qualified clique of members of parliament. Now I think I'll come have a question to Annabelle, and my question is now, what can we do to reduce these members of parliament? Because you see now with a parliament of about 300 people, when even do they have time to bring debates on parliament or even to contribute to a motion? What can we do to reduce the number? Also, I also support her idea that we need to be organized in groups of professionals so that we aid in solving the problems that we are ailing from. Accountants coming together, lawyers coming together, educationists coming together, so that's when even policies are formulated or policies are implemented, these people can provide an oversight, because now our biggest problem, I think it's the oversight role which our MPs are supposed to be doing, but they are not doing. So those are my humble submission. And also, okay, lastly, I want us to always remember this, that our vote, or your vote, is your greatest weapon. You have to secure it, and this thing that we don't want to participate in election should not be an issue for us. We all have to participate in elections so that we have better leadership for this country. Thank you, Mizani.
Thank you, Bonnie. And as you conclude, you mentioned something about our vote, but I'll allow Annabelle, and then my good co-host Brief Scoop is back. Please send him some greetings on our behalf. Annabelle.
Thank you, Mizani. To respond to him, the only way those member of National Assembly seats are being reduced is a referendum, because the Constitution explicitly says 290 constituencies. So not unless to badilisha hiyo provision, au majamaa hakuna mahali wanaenda. Even if we were to ask IEBC, which is tasked with the revision of the boundaries, to do that, anything they do will be unconstitutional. So we start by amending that provision. Number two, when I was talking about be very careful when you're engaging, remember, even the Constitution that we have as is was not the original draft that came out of the Bomas process. Our politicians went with this thing to Naivasha wakaenda wakafanya maneno yao. What we have today as our Constitution was not the original draft. So that's why we always have to be very careful when we're engaging and being, if you agree to go to a negotiating table, please be very clear. You're not the only one who will have asks. The other side will also have asks. That's why I keep insisting we need to be very clear on what our asks are and be very committed to seeing them to the very end. Legeza tu kidogo, tutapigwa dafrau. So there's no compromise. And then lastly, there's something I had forgotten to point out. I've seen a lot of guys talking about, we had the TJRC reports, we've had the NADCO report. There are very many other reports over the years that we have had. And we now need to just pause and ask, what is the status of implementation? KIPRA, KIPPRA, is a very good resource. They are the policy unit of the government, and they have a very comprehensive database. So our techies and your ChatGPT things, it would be really nice if you could just create something for us, a repository of all reports we have had over the years, and perhaps it also points to the status of implementation so that we know where to pick up. Hata sisi kama youth tunaenda kuongezea another one to the list. Let us first work on what we have so far.
Thank you very much, Annabelle, and I appreciate your response. Brief Scoop will come in, and then we'll be able to go to Joe, and then we can have other speakers that haven't made their submission to join us. We are going to close in the next 23 minutes. Kindly pardon us if you haven't had the opportunity. It has been a very long night. 12 hours is not a joke. Brief Scoop, where are we? When we started, Danny, you remember very well. The first time we had a serious conversation about the Kenya Kwanza administration was when President William Ruto decided he was going to push to have the GMO, food production to happen in the country. And it took a toll on most of us to where we are today, discussing matters governance and a responsive government. Now, there's the other issue of having young people being engaged and effectively so in matters elections. As Bonnie was submitting, he said something about our vote being our only weapon. But do we only reduce young people to the position of voters rather than them being the ones that decide how the future of this country will be determined? And this is a general question to the room, but I hand over to Brief Scoop. Thank you.
Thank you, Eli, and thank you everyone for sticking with us. No, we cannot be reduced to just voters, because when we are reduced to just voters, which is what this dispensation, this constitution that we copy-pasted from the US does, because that's what Americans are reduced to. If we were to agree to just be reduced to that, then the politicians will always own us because they own that process. They have managed to rig it in such a way that they control it using money, they control it using the laws, and they control it using the constitution that they created, which is, that constitution is very convenient for them for the most part. But I think what no one had taken into consideration or expectation was that Kenyans were going to pay very, very close attention to our constitution. So we know what we can do. We know what even this particular constitution allows us to do. And Article 1, the people are sovereign. And so we choose how we are going to be governed. We choose whether or not we are going to be represented or represent ourselves. And referenda are part of the constitution. And a referendum or multiple referenda can be, we can conduct them to decide whether or not to scrap this whole entire constitution. I personally am of the view that it should be fully scrapped because a constitution that is copy pasted from the United States, a country that was built on slavery, that built its constitution to be deliberately exclusive of a portion of its population, can never serve us. It was a constitution that was built to be unequal, and so of course it's going. You copy paste, garbage in, garbage out. So that's what we are getting. There are good aspects of the constitution. For example, the bill of rights, the protections that are in the constitution. But we can have those in a constitution that is authentically Kenyan, made by Kenyans for Kenyans, not looking to the west, not looking to the east, but going back to our roots. I always argue, you've heard me say this a million times already, Eli and others who've heard me before in the room, that the last time that we had democracy was when we had the councils of elders. Anything after that, anything that we inherited from the colonizer was built to suit the colonizer's purpose, and that is exactly what it does. So absolutely no. Kenyans cannot just be reduced to being voters. That is not our only function. Our function is to ensure that our economy is working for us, that everything to do with Kenya works for Kenyans, not for the IMF, not for BlackRock, not for American companies, not for Syngenta. And those are the people for whom these, when we started talking about GMOs, I knew that we had lost it. It was the GMOs. Am I inaudible? Did I get lost?
No, briefly continue. Brave, you'll have to wait.
Sawa. So yeah, I remember it was two things. It was the GMO, which happened very early on, right? And the other thing that was so disheartening for me, that told me that Kenya Kwanza was likely going to be full of it. I hoped against all hope and against all odds that I was wrong about this. But when they started talking about privatizing all Kenyan parastatals, I knew it was over. I knew that bottom up was a lie at that point. And it's proven to be that that's what it is. So yeah, no, we have our rights, and our rights are not, by the way, the Constitution is a piece of paper too, that Kenyans have chosen, right? So even that, as powerful as it is, and as much as we like certain aspects of it, when it's no longer working for us, and this Constitution was not built for us, it was built to ensure that our parliament, that our politics, that our government can be hijacked by Western interests, by American interests, to be very specific. So if it's no longer working, if it's not fit for purpose, we trash it and we rewrite it. We need to build on the old system of councils of elders. You've heard me propose this before, Eli, maybe not other people in the room. How about an executive leadership council? We scrap the presidency, we scrap, State House becomes a museum. We don't have a president, we have a council, an executive leadership council. We have a direct democracy system, such as what we had with the councils of elders. And we have councils of elders or councils of representative councils whatever Kenyans choose to call those councils, and they're going to send their representatives, and then we are going to have a rotating leadership council, executive leadership council, that can be constituted from people from all the 8 provinces, or we can choose if we want 12 provinces, 16 provinces. By the way, 47 counties, you know what 47 counties was built for? It was built specifically to divide Kenyans along tribal lines and to balkanize Kenya in the same way that Ethiopia has been balkanized. So when you see the Tigray genocide movement happening and the Amhara genocide, all of those movements that have been happening that have led to war in Ethiopia, is because for the last 30 years, what happened 30 years ago is their country got balkanized into similar dispensations. I think they call them states or whatever they call them, regions. And they were broken up along tribal lines, which is exactly how the 47 counties have been divided up, along tribal lines. 42 tribes, 47 counties. So we need to resist that. And that, by the way, is a measure that was put in there by the CIA, because this is what they do. They plan and they plot for 100 years, for 200 years, of how they are going to be dividing people so that they can continue to conquer. So let me yield there and hear from other people. Thank you.
All right, Brave. Let's. That was Bonnie. I don't know, unless it's a very quick response. I would like to have the new speakers make their presentation.
Okay, yeah, it's very quick. Okay, that was quite new from Brief Scoop. Mine is, I think if we are to make changes in the constitution, this is the right time, because we know where the hard lines come from. Yeah, that is from the members of parliament and the members of the county assembly. Now, I think this is the right time to make changes. So if we are to make changes in the constitution, saizi ndo the right time, because hao viongozi saizi wanaogopa kusalimiwa. That is my quick response. Thank you.
All right. Na mmesalimia viongozi. I hope mwapelekea chai. Brave, tell us something brave about you as a voter.
Hello guys, can you hear me?
You are loud and clear. Proceed.
Personally, I'm very, very disappointed. In this country, the working population right now are people above, the people who are employed in the government are people who are 40 years and above. As youths, most of us are very, very poor by the way. As youths, unapata mtu anafanya kazi, but ana earn 10,000, ama 15,000, ama 20,000. The same money, the government is coming for it. Ukinunua mkate na 100, pesa imeisha. And when they advertise for jobs, when we apply, ukifika interview unaulizwa, unajua nani? Nani amekutuma? Na ukifaulu kupenya hiyo interview, uko mwisho utaulizwa, before you sign the contract, wekelea hapa 100,000, wekelea hapa 200,000. Personally, I come from Baringo County. You know how Baringo County is poor. Our parents are very poor. So ukipigia mzazi umwambie unataka, wamesema unataka 100,000. Mzazi anakuambia sasa tutapata hapo hiyo pesa sahi. These politicians are making our lives very unbearable. Wanajitajirisha when sisi we are poor. Sasa tufanyaje? Me, I finished school in 2016. Niko na degree yangu imekaa kwa nyumba imelala. Cobwebs zinajenga nyumba. Sijawahi pata kazi mpaka sahi. And then you people go into offices and say you're creating jobs for us. Ukiapply kazi unaambiwa ati in fact they go to a point of saying ati uwainulie skati, uwape mgundio, you sleep with them, so they give you a job. Sasa tufanye aje? Mnataka tufanye aje nyinyi viongozi? Tufanye aje? Kesho nyinyi mkikufa huko 100 years huko, sisi tufanye aje? Tuishi na poverty milele? What do you want us to do? Wangu wa Baringo County wanangojanga tu bandits wavamia, and then they come, oh, my people are being killed, oh, the government is not listening. Lakini when everything is down, kila kitu ikiwa kwa amani, huwezi wasikia kwa ground. Hiyo ndio kutetea watu when things are bad. Nimeona Wavinyandeti hapa, please tell your people, sisi huku chini tunaumia. You see all these youths kwa barabara, most of them are very jobless, and that's why you hear they have nothing to lose. Because we are jobless, we cannot afford pads. Hata tununui nguo siku hizi. Some of us have families. Unaitwa interview, hauna hata fare. Unakopa, unaenda hiyo interview, unapata hujapata kazi. You now remain with the task of paying the debt. Sisi vijana, we are living very pathetic lives. Msione tukijiposti TikTok, tunajiposti YouTube, tunajiposti wapi. Hizo nguo inaweza kuwa hata tumeomba. Viatu inaweza kuwa tumeomba. So, viongozi, stop yapping around. Mkisema ati mnapea vijana kazi. Hiyo kazi ya housing mnapeana, itasaidia vijana wangapi? Mnasema ati mnatutafutia kazi outside the country. Some of us have families, so tuache familia nyumbani na watoto, especially as ladies. Watoto wanaweza kuwa ni wadogo sana, so we leave them behind, and then sasa hapo sitakuwa kuharibu the family unit. Yenye munasemanga ati we tuichunge. So mimi by the way, I'm so disappointed. Kwanza for myself, 8 years after campus, watu kwa village wanaulizana, kwani huyu hakusoma? Mtu ulisoma ukapita vizuri, makaratasi iko, lakini hakuna kazi. Tufanye nini? Tufanye nini? Viongozi, mtuambie. You people pocket millions of money as salaries every month. Na kuna Mkenya hajakula kitu. Kuna Mkenya hajakula kitu. Hata there are people who eat only 1 meal a day. Na nyinyi mnapaka blue band mkate, mnaongeza jam na mnaongeza asali juu. Na kuna mtoto Kenya, Turkana, hajakula, anaenda kunyonya ng'ombe. Anaenda kukamulia maziwa yenye imebaki after kukamuliwa asubuhi. Nyinyi mnalala kwa kitanda yenye ina swing. Watoto wa Kenya wanalala kwa ngozi ya ng'ombe. Kwa ngozi ya ng'ombe. Halafu mnasema mnatutetea. Mnatutetea vitu gani? Mnatutetea vitu gani? MPs wote waende nyumbani. We want a fresh Kenya. Tumechoka. I'm speaking especially for the people of Baringo, the people of Turkana County, the people of Pokot. Haki ya Mungu, tunaumia. Mnakuja kwa ground, mnapatia wazazi wetu 50-50. Hiyo 50 ukishasiaga nayo imeisha. Ukinunua mboga ya 50 bob, sukuma siku hizi wanahesabu, imeisha. And then unakimbia huko juu Nairobi, unasema ati nimetoka ground, my people are good, sijui vitu gani. Hakuna, wazazi hawa afford hata school fees. Sasa hivi mmepandisha school fees ya university. So in short, mnataka nyinyi watoto wenyu peke yake wasome, watoto wa Turkana wasiende shule. Is that not colonization of modern day? So nyinyi watoto wenyu peke yenu wasome, alafu watoto wa hapa chini, watoto wa Baringo County huko ndani Marigat, James wasisome. But nyinyi waende Harvard, wenyu waende Nairobi University. Sisi wetu waende politics.
By the way, brave girl, I want to ask you, and thank you for your presentation. And I hear your emotion. I want to ask you because the president has sent troops to policemen to Haiti, and Asemati to protect them there. And I know that the situation in Baringo in that region, the regions that you're talking about, we all know what that situation is. I want you just to say something about that, just to mention a little bit about that and what's going on there. Can you enlighten us?
You see, the situation is in Baringo is not good. And the bandits, yes, they don't strike continuously. But when they strike, tunahama. It is not good at all. You see, when politicians wakikuja huku nje, wanakuja wanacheza PR. Wanaenda wanaambia, in fact wanadanganya rais vizuri sana. They go and tell him the situation kwa ground is calm. Wanakuja, so polisi wanakuja, yes, wanafanya kazi yao. The bandits go. But you see hawajamaliza the whole thing. So after sometimes our parents wanakuwa tena attacked. Police come, wanacalm the situation, but there has never been a permanent solution to the whole of this thing. Kwa nini? Because the politicians in Baringo County wanataka agenda ya manifesto every 5 years. So wanaona banditry ikiisha watakosa kitu ya kutumia kwa manifesto. Na wamecheza na akili za wazazi wetu, wanajua hawa tukiwaambia tu, tukienda tu kwa ground tuwaambie tutamaliza banditry within 1 year, and because parents are desperate for a solution, they will vote for them. So that is the current.
But meanwhile, we've sent 400 troops to Haiti, and we are about to send Ndivowafike 1,000. So clearly, that's not being done either with any thought behind it. It's not being done for Haiti because the Haitians don't want the Kenyan troops.
Yes.
And it's not being done for us because it doesn't serve us. We need those troops in Baringo to end the banditry, not in Haiti, where the Haitians don't even want them.
My dear, let me tell you something. If these leaders wanted to help the people of Baringo County, the people of Turkana, the people of Pokot, the people of Marakwet, wangetusaidia. But ask yourself, kwa nini hawataki kutusaidia? Kila mwaka sisi tunalia banditry. Why don't they want to help us?
So, Brave, I'll allow you to take a leave on that, and not because I want to cut your conversation. You've raised very serious issues. You've raised the issue of minimum wage. You've equally raised the issue of employment and joblessness and hopeless young people, and especially young mothers. You've equally asked Governor Wavinya Ndeti, who has been here, and we do appreciate, Governor, you were here last night, we saw you. You've equally come in very early this morning. I would like for you to take that microphone, and maybe from the capacity you have, speak to these Kenyans and tell them, are you guys aware of all these things Brave is raising? Or is this news to you? And if so, being a governor, what are you doing to change the lives of these Kenyans that you took the oath of office not only to protect, but to do the very best to ensure they live a fulfilling life? And all the other leaders that are here, as we highlighted, this was a special sitting. And clearly we are having the very uncomfortable truth in this national dialogue. Once again, this is Mizani 254, and thank you so much, Brave, for sharing your story. Indeed, that was very brave of you. Obeds and Brief, I am very emotional at the moment, so I'll allow you to take over.
I totally get it, because what brave girl, who is truly brave, has brought to us is a very accurate description of what our fellow Kenyans are going through. And this is why, Mizani, and for the people that are in here that know us, we've been talking about these issues of living wages for a while. So for the politicians that are here, do you fear the IMF more than you fear Kenyans? Because if you fear the IMF more than you fear Kenyans, then Kenyans are saying, we are going to make sure you fear us more than you fear the IMF. Because you need to be doing our bidding. You need to be standing up and saying no to the IMF. If the IMF says that you have to tax bread, you have to tax pads, ladies' pads, you have to tax nappies instead of taxing American companies, instead of making sure that the UN is paying the same living wages that they pay in Switzerland, in Geneva, and in New York, why aren't you standing up and demanding that the UN should be paying the same salaries, whether it's to a janitor? If a janitor in Switzerland at the UN is paid $3,000 by the same UN that is in Nairobi, it's not a different UN. It's the same international organization, funded by the exact same money from all 190 plus countries in the world. Why aren't you demanding living wages for us Kenyans? Why are you talking about sending Kenyans to slavery in Saudi Arabia? If President Ruto has not had Kenyans talking in these spaces, because every single time I've been on this space, in any of these spaces, I've been hearing Kenyans demanding, saying, we don't want to go to be slaves in Saudi Arabia. We want to work at home, build our country. Google, Facebook, all of those American companies, they are coming and they are stealing the labor of our young people here in Kenya. They recognize the value and the intelligence and the brilliance. And then we using our own taxes, are paying, are educating our students. Using our taxes, we've built the public institutions. We spend all this money educating our young people. And then what do? You send them off to slavery overseas. How does that make any sense? You are stealing our future. So demand living wages from international organizations. And then we can do this. We can have a dialogue. And we can tell you, the economists on this platform, the governance experts on this platform, I, for one, am willing to have any economics discussion. We start with demanding that foreign companies, starting today, they can start today, because in the United States, PricewaterhouseCoopers cannot pay anybody in New York, where I don't know if that's their headquarters, but they cannot pay anybody less in New York and in many states, less than $15 an hour. What is the difference between PricewaterhouseCoopers in Nairobi and their executives? There's not a single white person in Kenya who earns less than, who's not paid in dollars, first of all, and they earn thousands of dollars, probably not less than $5,000, because they're all expats, by the way. Even the teachers that teach at Brabant, if you're a white teacher. So we have accepted this paradigm that we Africans deserve to live under slave labor, and that Wazungu, they've created that paradigm, and you guys, you do not challenge it, you accept it. So why is that?
Host.
Let me yield and turn it over to, go ahead.
Host, let me just to drive that last point home. The difference between the quality of life in Switzerland and the quality of life in Kenya is equals to work, is equals to jobs. Note that point, right? The only thing that will take Kenya to the quality of life in Switzerland is the work that needs to be done in Kenya. So no one should say that there is no work to be done in Kenya, or that there are no jobs in Kenya. There is too much work and too much jobs, okay? We just need to be creative, inclusive, and open-minded in discovering those jobs. Thank you.
We don't even need to discover those jobs, right? If people must eat, that's agriculture jobs. If people must sit on seats, sit on chairs and sleep on beds, those are jobs, carpentry. But the difference is living wages. We do not believe that Africans should be paid a living wage. We believe that American products should be sold. Colgate is $3 in New York or in Nairobi or in Papua New Guinea or in Lagos or wherever you go. So Colgate does not, when they come to Kenya, they don't say, oh, we are going to sell it at Kenyan prices. No, they sell it at their price. When they bring their executives from the United States or wherever it is, from Europe, they say, no, they must have living wages. They must be able to live in Kileleshwa and Lavington and Karen. And so they are given housing allowances. When they provide their services, whether it's PricewaterhouseCoopers or BDO, when they are charging the government of Kenya, they don't turn around and say, oh, we are going to charge the government of Kenya Kenyan prices. But when it comes to salaries, no, oh, we are only going to pay you Kenyan salaries. What does that mean? When they turn around and say, oh, the cost of it depends on the cost of living. What does that mean? It means they are saying that the cost of living is low because you can live in Kibera, you can live in Kawangware in informal settlements. Let's move on. Let me not soapbox for too long. I see that the governor has joined.
Brief.
I would
recommend, Brief, if you can hear me, I would recommend we have Abdirazak speak and Gloria, then we come to the governor because she's just come in. Let's allow her, the others to have their opinion, and then we can have the governor speak.
Sure. I'll let you. You were paying attention. I wasn't, so I'll let you run that.
So Abdirazak, you're free to go and have your put your point across.
Good morning, everyone. Mizani, can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. Thank you. Mine is very, very, very simple and short. And I wish to thank everyone who is on this platform because it's only through engagement and dialogues that you're able to know what are the real issues on ground. Mine on the aspect of the uncomfortable truth is the legislative, or let's say the leaders in this country, have just taken people for a ride. Believe you me, I share the same version with my sister who has been discussing the issue of Baringo. It is pathetic, it is painful. We don't know what to do anymore, any day. We have very good policies in place, even if it is the issue of minimum wage, whatever it is, there are good things that are supposed to be implemented. But we don't have people to implement. We have zombies, demagogues, people who don't care, people who have been in successive government year in, year out, people their morals have decayed. They don't care at all. There is no ethics in them. They cannot even differentiate between the right and the wrong. So whatever reasoning is there is, I don't know what we're going to discuss with these people. There's nothing to discuss with them because they don't understand. When you tell them something, the arrogance, you can see it. The arrogance, even saying, when you talk to your father and you cry, a father listens. But when you call people who are peaceful demonstrators criminals, when you use government machineries to intimidate people, the law is very clear. It is justice for all. Before you harm anyone, you must do justice. You can only get good governance when you yourself respect the law as it is. And I'm really very happy to see Governor Wavinya Ndeti here today. She has been very vocal on some issues, but we want her to send this message to the leaders when she sits with them, that the ground people are crying and they need to listen. You don't listen, you get out of the office. And we will represent ourselves if our elective people do not care on what they want to do. We are fed up. We have papers, we have read, we have good things. We can't discuss them here. But these leaders, they either toe the line or they ship out. Kenyans, let's wake up. Let's advocate for what is right. It's either now or never. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdirazak. That's really brief and very precise. I like the fact that you're alluding to issues affecting people like the Baringo people in other areas where historically development has been really, put in the back burner. Gloria, your hand is up, and I would like to hear what you have in relation to this conversation. Gloria, unmute and speak.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, host, and all the other listeners for this space. So first, I would like to talk about fetishizing the law. Most of us have been talking about the mace, what this means, and the other. Let us not worry about those things. That is not ours to worry about. Because if the law really worked, we wouldn't be here. In Kenya, the law is also an ideological state apparatus. It is rigged. It is part of the system. And that is where you find people who do little petty crimes are jailed for a very long time, or they're asking, like in Nakuru, 100,000 from 17-year-olds, what? All because they protested. But they wouldn't do that to the so-called Waheshimiwa. Still billions of shillings. Murder people. They're always walking free. So let's not put our brain so much and disturb ourselves with these law things. Already, lawyers who have aligned themselves with the movement are already working behind the scene. We keep hearing so-and-so has gone to court, Omkio Mtata has been doing it forever. So that is not our docket. Let us not worry so much, because what they are doing is unlawful. So many things have been passed from State House. Is there a mess in State House? It's not there. So let's not worry so much. For us, let's stay focused. What is our goal? That is what anything in Luo we say, anything that comes along the way, you kick and go. You don't let it, like become a sideshow, distract, those are distractions. Let us not be distracted. My other issue, again, is the issue of messaging and communication. That's what I studied. And for me, I don't think that we need such a big document to communicate or 100 points. No. What we need is to be simple, specific, and strategic. We already know what our issues are. And they know what our issues. Don't forget that they don't know. They know what our issues are. So even this thing of saying that, they should come to space, no, they know. Because if you don't know what the issue of your people are, then you have no business. You have no business vying for a post, because you are going to do what there. This is a democracy, and for democracy, we vote for you to go represent us, because we can't all be in parliament, we can't all be in State House, we can't all be president. So you're going there as, our representative. So you can't claim. In fact, if you're claiming you don't know, just resign. Because what are you doing there if you don't know? What are you doing there? You have a manifesto that you launched. You roamed the whole of Kenya. You are not even resting. We're even wondering, won't he drop dead? We saw how he looked at the end of campaign. Very thin, disheveled, and whatnot. So he was traversing the whole of Kenya. Speaking, we saw him make notes. We saw him nod his head. We saw him speak to Mama Mboga. We saw him speak to Boda Boda. We saw him speak to youth, Gen Z, name it. We saw him speak to everyone. So what else are we telling him? What other conversation are we having? Where are we calling him to space? The space is our platform. They've occupied everywhere. Churches, they have platforms. He speaks from State House, he speaks from. This is ours for the common man, for the common mwananchi, not for those leaders to come and talk down to us. No. This is ours. So leaders should just stay candle. We can't be bringing them here to again start desecrating our space. Up until our voices are heard. Wow, wakona all the platforms everywhere else to be heard. And then so for me, when it comes to messaging, my suggestion would be, let's have a meeting where we talk about, already we've been talking about issues, we know them. It's just about being strategic. If you can get a good 10-pointer that we tell them this, of course, those things are easy. We don't have to scratch our head. Corruption is theft. We already know what that is. Extrajudicial killings, they've killed protesters. You don't have to think about it. Have them point form, then push them daily on the spaces that are ours that we have. TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, those are our platforms. We push them daily. So every day we had a hashtag. To the Ruto must go. If today we are talking about, if today we are pushing for, sack all corrupt leaders. In fact, he doesn't have to sack them because he's one of them. Resign. We want all these corrupt leaders to resign. We name a few. Tomorrow, we retain the government, resign, the Ruto must go. We add another one. Evil. These people know. Let them not pretend. Me, in fact, I get very annoyed when I hear people even like entertaining dialogue even in the little bit. I don't know. I feel like
Gloria,
I'm a one in. Yes.
I request that you learn so that we allow others to speak, so that because there is a very, very long
Okay.
list of people who speak.
All right.
Thank you very much. Honorable Wavinyandeti, you've had what Brave Girl said. It's a very painful tale, and we have devolved units that are supposed to help, reach the common person down there. We have seen corruption. We have seen misuse of public resources. Just the same way it is at the national government. What I would like to hear from you, and going forward, when we want to have this national dialogue that the government is proposing, how do you factor in the real person who's struggling down there, and not just, giving us PR and just talking for the sake of it? How do we ensure, because you're a governor and you know how people are struggling, how do we handle that and ensure that everybody is brought to the table and brought as, like your colleagues have done, to improve the lives of the ordinary person?
Thank you.
And may I just underline real quick, Governor, excuse me. I just want to underline that this space, of course, it's not partisan. We don't have we are so we don't want it to be a partisan thing. It's not, we're really just looking for genuine, sincere responses to the problems that Kenyans are raising, because Kenyans are enduring this of every stripe, of every class, of every stripe, of every and from every political side of the divide, which is why this movement is nonpartisan, and it is made up of Kenyans from all walks of life. I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've been listening to you since yesterday, and first, I'm really sorry about the loss of the young people in our country. You remember I spoke about a week ago, and I said we should be able to listen to our young people, first because they are the majority in this country. For the families, the mothers that have lost their children, I am really sorry about that, because my children are the age of the Generation Z. I've heard the young girl talk about work. What I can tell you, in this country, the systems are there. It's just that sometimes people don't want to use the systems. Like for the counties, we are supposed to have public participation. And this public participation is taken to every ward. When you go to the wards, you listen to the people, they tell you what their problems are. Now, once you go back to the office, you plan with the budget that you have so that you can be able to take care of your people. I'll just give you an example. I've been doing public participation, gone on the ground. The youth have told me that they are jobless. I can tell you from Machakos County, with facts, I can show you I've employed over 1,000 youth. The other day, I put 3,000 youth on Ngarisha Mta to clean up the streets. That is just putting money to make sure that we keep them busy as we look for permanent positions. When you listen to your people on the ground, then you're able to go and make some jobs that can really help your people. So some of this is just one being committed to your people. I worked in Europe. I was in London. There, every cent you're paid for, you must work for it. I think we need to bring that culture here, and people must understand. You're being paid a salary to do a job. This job you're being paid for, you must be accountable. What is it that you have done? What is it that you can show for it? And about jobless, if we just use our systems very well, give the investors the necessary tools and concessions for them to come and invest here, we'll have more jobs than we can ever think. And then we bring in the law of making sure that our people the law is already there. We use the law to ensure that our people get the minimum, the basic minimum salary that the government has set. It's just that we have the laws and we are not implementing them. So for me, public participation is key. Commitment of the leaders to the jobs that they have been given is very important. And the youth, yes, I've heard you say, I think 5 million registered, if I'm correct, and 8 million did not register. You know, your vote matters. And what I'm so happy about is that our young people, our youth have woken up. We cannot lie to them anymore. They see everything in black and white. They have told us very clearly they are not their parents. And that one, I can see it, and I saw it a long time ago. So for us as leaders, we need to be accountable. Number one, we must listen to our people. And communication is key. And when you're talking to your people, just know your people are your bosses. Ile mshahara unakula kwa nyumba yako, hao watu ndio wametoa taxes zao kukulipa. Kwa nini usiwasikize? And then, if we listen to you, also let us, and I've seen you're reasonable people. You know, communication is very important. If we sit down and agree and have concession on some areas, then it will be good for all of us. It cannot just be one-sided. And me now, I'm talking as Wavinya. Yeah? Mimi Wavinya nilete yangu kwa meza kama governor. For example, watu wa Machakos walete yao kwa meza, tuongee. Sisi wote tutafute solution. Na ile solution tutachukua, all of us should take responsibility of that
Governor,
decision.
Allow me, my apologies to I don't like doing this, but I think it's important. It is good for you to give your opinion as Wavinya Ndeti.
I'm giving as Wavinya. Yes. So sorry about that.
But at the same time, Governor.
Yes.
To whom much is given, much is expected.
Yes.
You're in a position of responsibility.
Yes.
And you have the ear of the authority.
Yes.
And you have the power to be able to implement some things. What are the tangibles we can speak about that are geared towards ensuring that the ordinary person, other than saying that, we are hearing them, what are we doing to alleviate the suffering of our people? You see, when people are employing, for instance, let's say the Machakos County is recruiting, half the time the people who get jobs are not even the people who are qualified. And I'm not saying that's what it is in your situation. However, we have seen in this country, we have public positions, government positions are given to people sometimes who are not qualified, but who are well connected. How do we solve that problem? It's a long-term problem that Kenyans have suffered. How do we ensure that we get the best and reward them for exactly what they have, and not because you know someone?
Number one,
I want to hear such things.
Can I tell you, apart from the leaders, even the people who are given those positions, to make sure that they do proper balancing, they don't. Some of them are also corrupt. Yeah? Some of these employment boards, you can go, maybe, and that's a fact. Now I'm talking as Wavinya. You look at the leaders, I give you, let's say I give somebody a responsibility to go and employ. Sasa, wao wanaenda kupanga mambo yao huko. Vile umesikia huyo msichana analia hapo. Maneno ya kuambiwa, and if I ever, kama mimi Wavinya, nikishika mtu na hiyo, I'm telling you for free, I'll deal with them. Because mtoto anaenda anatafuta kazi, kiongozi amepatia some members of the country work to go and make sure that they employ people. They themselves also start discriminating, and also what the young girl has said, asking for money for employment. I think we need to look at all ourselves, from the leaders to the people who are given responsibility, because some of them are even, I can tell you for free, they're even more corrupt than the leaders. And if you're not a leader that tries to be hands-on, unaweza kuchafuliwa sana. So every leader should poke their nose. You must be a hands-on leader.
Governor Ndeti, to that point about being hands-on, I wanna push you on something you just said about some people being corrupt and what have you, because this is something I've always wanted to say to Kenyan politicians and African politicians in general.
Yes.
And I feel like we always talk about African problems as if they are purely just issues of morality. And they are not. They are issues of humanity. You know, it's not as if there are no corrupt people in the United States. You've lived in England. It's not as if there's no corruption or criminality in the United Kingdom. They are there. But the difference is this. The difference is that there are systems in place to ensure that people adhere. You know, when you pass policy, you also consult social scientists that are going to tell you whether this policy, how to implement it to make sure that there is uptake of a policy. So let me ask you one question, because this is something that I think we have really neglected ever since we gained independence. So by the way, not just this government. I think what Kenyans are talking about and Governor, to really take this into heart. Kenyans are not just talking about this government. Kenyans are talking about the fact that Kenya has not worked for Kenyans, and it didn't start yesterday. It didn't just start with this government. It started long before even we got independence, because it was working for the colony before that. And what we are discovering is that it has continued to work for the colony. The one thing that you know that they do is that there is not a single department in any government department there's not a single government department either in the United Kingdom or anywhere in Western Europe or the United States that is not fully staffed with several positions of social scientists to ensure that they are studying the likelihood of policies being taken up. You cannot pay people non-living wages. You cannot pay people 20,000 shillings. And Governor, you cannot go to Quickmart and fill a cart, a shopping cart, and leave Quickmart without paying more than 20,000 shillings for your groceries. So when you're paying Kenyans 20,000 shillings, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to eat, pay school fees, pay for all of the other things that we need to pay, housing, water, electricity, or are they supposed to eat? Which one is it?
I think
sorry, let me just say one more thing. So the first thing has to be living wages. That has to be something that is considered. And I think Kenyans are also extremely tired of hearing about investors, because we have had investors since before we had independence. So if this, how much more suitable can we make the environment for investors? Investors are making a killing. Americans, Chinese, Europeans, no matter who it is, they're making a killing from our economy. We cannot make our economy any more suitable or amenable for them. What we need is imaginative leaders who know how to create living wages, to create jobs, and to create living wages. That has to be the, let me yield there and hear your answer.
If I get to your first question, you have gone. Can I start with the last one and then I move to the? I know you say you have had investors for all people, investors coming and they're taking so much from Kenya. Where are they? Why are they taking so much from this country? Yeah, you have said the government systems is true. Maybe they have not worked for us since colonial times, and that is why our parents had to go and fight the Muzungus and remove them from our country. Yes, the systems have not worked for us. And I think the conversation we are having is very important now. We all need to go back to the drawing board and look at everything clearly and take what works for us, not what people tell us that works for us. This conversation is a very good conversation. But everyone in this country has to take responsibility. It's not just the leaders. Yeah, Everyone, from a person who is employed as a sweeper to the president of this country, everyone has to take responsibility. For example, and I'll take it to the lowest. Kama umepatiwa kazi ya kufagia, sweep like you've never swept before. Yeah? You know, here sometimes, I'm telling you the truth, people live and just live. And life is not about that. Mtu akipatiwa kazi, achukue kazi yake vizuri. Yes, we must use scientific formulas to make sure that our people are well taken care of. Like those are markers to be able to be showing us, now, this is the way life is. And if we do this, maybe our people will be able to sustain themselves. I accept that. Yeah? Those are the things that maybe now we need to seriously, maybe they are there even, and they are not being used. It is about implementation. Implementation. And I've heard you even speak about the Constitution. Yes, we can change, we can do what, but if we have not even implemented some of the things that are in the Constitution, then what are we doing? It is high time we as Kenyans looked at ourselves and be very sincere about ourselves and just do things the way they're supposed to be done.
Thanks, Governor. One thing, just before I let you go, Mizani, you're coming. I would like, because you guys are in position of responsibility, and you can tell Kenyans are angry and agitated.
Yes.
We do not like what's going on.
Yes.
It's unfortunate that the political class are tone deaf. They do not feel the pain of Kenyans. And this is why. You look at the opulence in which they live, and the obscene amounts of monies that they control, and it's just like we are spitting on the faces of Kenyans and telling them we don't care what's going on. Look at the health sector. Look at the education sector. What is it that you do not want as the political class, because it's working for you people? But as an ordinary person, somebody goes to a public hospital, they go there to die.
Can I tell you, it does not work for me in devolution, because getting 15% of the national cake doesn't help. We only get 15% of the national cake, 85% stays up there. At the county levels, that is where the rubber meets the road. Sorry.
Unfortunately, when you look at, there's a requirement that at least 30% go into development. We do not see that from the devolved units. More of it is in the recurrent expenditure, which is the same problem that the national government has. What is it that we are doing? Where do we have bloated governments? Can we work on a lane system that affords Kenyans more in terms of development so that you can put money in the pockets of people?
But let me ask you, I have 15%. We have 15%. I'm supposed to employ people. I'm supposed to do development. Now, when you look at, I'm telling you, like the medical services, and you said here we should be non-partisan, but I'll just give you as an example. Like most of our budget, for example, in my county, goes to health. And even if it's going to health, it is still not, it is still not enough. That's why you hear us telling the national government to ensure that at least they give more money to the county governments. And if we are given, we as county government must be also accountable. And if it's anyone who does any corruption or misuses government funds, let them be. You know, I keep on telling my people, you do something wrong, I'll throw you under the bus. Because it is you who has decided to go and do what you're not supposed to be doing. You cannot keep on carrying responsibilities for people. Kama mtu amekosa, kama mtu ni mwizi, ashikwe na wizi wake, awekwe ndani. And that is how life should be, the rule of law.
Excuse me, anaweza uliza swali in line
Captain, wait. Governor Vinya, this is Eli, and
yes,
I've listened to you, and I equally want to pivot my question towards what you said in terms of having hands-on, and also the expressions from Brave, if you listen to her. Again, if you are listening to her, you will conclude she is a mother, a young one, and trying to make ends meet. And her country and her county have betrayed her. As a mother, as a leader, What does that voice mean to you?
You see, when I listen to her, I look at my little girl. Because for me, she's also my little girl. It does not feel right for when a young person goes, a young lady goes to look for work, and then sex is used, I don't know, as a weapon or whatever you call it, to make sure that they get work. I think our men should also wake up. And can I tell you, it's not about the girls alone. It is both. Mumesema tuongee na tuambiane ukweli, tutaambiana ukweli. Sio wasichana tu peke yao, even the young boys. I've seen it all over here. I think we have to look at the way we do things and change as Kenyans. We have to do that. That is, I look at her like my daughter going to ask for work. Alafu anaambiwa afanye hivyo ndio apatiwe kazi. We need to speak. We need to point out this. Na mtu akiletwe, we follow the facts and we make sure those people are dealt with. I think that is, if we set an example of a few, then some of these things will not happen in this country. It is high time as a country we went back on the drawing board and we say, yes, when did the rain start beating us? And when you look at it, you have said since election, let us be committed Kenyans. And even leaders are Kenyans. Let us be committed Kenyans and look at what are these our issues, and we all know. And then we come up. And it is possible. Nothing is impossible in this world. And if people get committed and stop being greedy. Yes, I can have 10 cars. How many cars can I drive in a day? Only one. It is just good to live a nice, comfortable life and, you know, make your money and make your money well.
So, Governor,
am I young?
My final question, and also linked to what Brave shared with us.
And if the young girl has an issue, can I tell you something? And take it to the bank. Let that girl call me. I am going to give her work because I'm a mother. I would never want her to go again. Mahali, aombe kazi, aulizwa na mwanaume alale na yeye. No, I will get her a job as a mother.
Thank you, Governor. And as I conclude, my final question to you is, I have listened to your passionate delivery on what you want to do in this country. And I've listened to this young lady and many other young men asking leaders to wake up and smell the coffee. What are you going to do to rewrite the wrongs that the leadership of this country has done and let down its own citizens? As Wabinya.
It starts from where I am as a governor of Machakos. It starts from there, and I have an opportunity also to meet other leaders. We have the Council of Governors. We have opportunities to meet even the national government and even the opposition. That is where the conversation should start. And I should just say, me, myself included, as leaders, counting myself one, let us stop being selfish and put our people first. If we do that, this country will change for good because it's one of the best countries in Africa.
Thank you. This is the uncomfortable truth, and that is Governor Wavinya Ndeti. Thank you for coming, Governor. I know it has been a very emotional session for you, but as it is, Brave might not be able to contact you. I might be able to reach out to you, and I hope you'll be able to respond so that we can keep the two of you in contact, and hopefully she will rewrite her story. I will send you a DM, but we can always ask for your number.
Mine
is public.
Oh, it's public. Great.
Well,
My number is
Allow
known
us
by
to ask.
everybody.
Okay, Brave, you have your last word to Governor?
Yes, I want to say thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I'm really suffering. I'm very grateful, and through you, I know I will change the lives of the girls and even the boys in Baringo County.
Take 0726
0726
068
0
311.
311.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Once we drop, you can call me or just send me a text. Yeah, it's you, and then I call you back now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Before we let the governor go, Mizani, let me just ask one quick short question. Governor Ndeti, the minimum living global wage, according to the United Nations, is $500 currently, is $500 per month. Let me ask you, what do you think should be the minimum wage in Kenya, and why? And why is it not there currently? And because I think that is the beginning of where the rain began to beat us.
Number one, people like Anatoli, we should put them to whatever, because that is their work. We have the labor. They should also come up and talk about that. You know, we have even different institutions and different bodies to push for that. If it is $500, I think that $500, the exchange rate is 130 or 132 now. So that is about. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Yeah, that's about how much in Kenya shillings? Is it about?
Let's just round it up to 70,000.
65,000 thereabout.
65,000. I think we need to have people like maybe you should bring a trolley one of these days here to come and tell us and talk to us about that. But we need to push that also.
Atwoli has been he's been there for how many decades and nothing has changed. So that's part of the problem, right? In all seriousness. So that's what we need to be pushing for. We need to be pushing for a living wage that can allow, because 20,000 is not a living wage for anyone who, even for a single person, let alone for somebody who has a child.
And CRC
or a family. Go on.
And this is it CRC, the wage? You know, we have
SRC.
this body that SRC. The SRC also should be engaged, because we have institutions and bodies that should be doing that work. They should be engaged, because they are the ones who set the minimum wages for us and tell us as county how we should employ. If you go way above that, you find yourself in jail.
Mizani, allow me, and Governor, thank you very much. Whilst I do appreciate what you have done, it is a good thing to be able to take care of the young girl who has a problem. But I think the culture of tokenism also has to end. It's important that we put our structures in such a way that they are supportive, and so that we do not have situations where Kenyans, because we cannot, do to everyone what you're doing to her. It's a good thing, but I hope and I pray that our country will walk away from this nonsense of, you have to know someone, or you've got to complain about something, or you got to even mimic a political leader.
You're right.
For you to get it. So I thank you honestly, and because we'd like to also have other people speak. I really appreciate you taking your time. And here on Mizani 254, every opinion counts. It doesn't matter who you support. We always want to hear what Kenyans are thinking, and it has to be across the board. I really appreciate you coming here and taking time to speak to us. And we'll actually hold you accountable. We follow you up on Brave. And if you can help her the way you said, please do that, because it's the best thing to do as a mother. And also, as a leadership, talk to your colleagues in your capacity. Make a difference for Kenyans that can be seen. Let us not just do lip service, because I think that's the biggest problem we have in this country. But Governor, thank you very much for taking your time.
I hear you.
Thank you so much. So
Thank you.
we'll allow others to speak. If you keep staying here, we'll probably have you speak again. I had there's Nicholas who hasn't spoken, and I also have
I'm supposed to go to church.
No problem, Governor. Go and
Governor,
pray for
did
us.
you
but
vote
also
no?
note-
If you voted no, I will advise against your wish to stay home.
Yes.
No, I'm a governor, please.
That was a good joke, Governor. Thank you.
Mimi siko.
Thank you.
Mimi ni mama, and a mother should always be neutral. You have different children in a home, so you must know how to handle them.
Thank you very much. So I think I'm going to have Nicholas come and speak, and then I'll have Captain come next. Then we have Lukwago, who is our brother from Uganda, to also make a contribution. Nicholas, please.
Obeds, before you call on Nicholas, let me just say something to your point about tokenism, right? Of course, we all appreciate what the governor is doing for Brave because we want to see a solution, but you're so right. And ideally, what we would want is that Brave should not have to move to Machakos from Baringo, right, to go get a job. If presumably, if she's in Baringo, or even if she's in Nairobi, she shouldn't have to, right? So the fact that this might be the best option right now, sure, fine, we have a solution for one individual, but what we are looking for as Kenyans is solutions for the country that are for the long term, for posterity, not just for today. Thank you.
And sorry, can I also speak to her governor? Can I also talk to her governor?
Absolutely. So I think it's fair because you can speak to each other. You're able to do that. So if you can and get us something, that's fine. But what we are saying is we need to have structures that function for everyone so that we don't have to do
Absolutely.
this. Tokenism is the biggest problem
Absolutely.
Kenya has had because you see somebody complain, then we solve their problem, but there are so many others who have a similar problem and they don't get that support. So thank you very much, Governor. And I'm really grateful you've listened through the space and you being here and being thrown stones and being asked questions, hard questions on behalf of the political class. Thank you for taking it. And go to church, pray for us. And if you have clean money, they'll not occupy the church you're going to. If you have a problem, they'll occupy your church. But thank you very much.
I work hard for my money.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Santa Sana, Governor. So
thank you. God bless. God bless.
Thank you very much. I'd like to have Nicholas come on and speak. Then I'd have Captain Ismail. I see your hand up. We'll allow you to speak after Lukwago. Nicholas, please feel free to speak. Nicholas, unmute and speak.
I guess we don't have Captain. Nicholas, Captain.
Yes, thank you. Mine nilikuwa nataka kuongea na Madam Wavinya. Madam, mambo.
Just prosecute your case, she will listen. Kindly proceed.
Yeah. Recently nimeona ulikuwa umepost about barabara fulani zilikuwa zinatengenezwa in your county. You see, we've been having substandard roads. Mtu anakuja natengeneza barabara, after a few 2-3 days gari za mchanga zikipita, hiyo barabara inarudi back to square. These contractors wenye wanatengeneza hizi barabara, what measures are you as a governor una make sure that they make good roads? Because the barabara yenye naona umepost hapa, it doesn't consider pedestrians. Watu watatembelea huko ndani ya msituni, haina road markings. Watu usiku si watagongana vibaya sana. Do you have measures to take to make sure that this kind of roads that zinatengenezwa kwa county yako, they are up to standard? And second question, what was the aim goal of you putting your picture kwa ile bus stop? Because hiyo ni pesa ya county. Ama ni pesa ulitoa kwa mfuko yako ukalipia? Thank you.
Can I answer?
Yes, Governor, you can answer that.
Number one, the posting of the roads, they are still in the process of, they are not completed. Yeah, this we normally post to show our people progress. Once the roads are completed, you'll be able to see that. Yeah, we have completed at least 2 tarmac, and we have another 4 tarmac ones going on, the ones you have been posted. They are not complete yet. Once they are completed, you'll be able to see that. And some of them you do not expect me to build a pedestrian path on a road from Katangi to Kilimani. Hiyo ni kama highway. Zile tunatengeneza ni kama hizi za where you have when you look at the Kinka one, we are doing that. Yeah, with the Mulolongo one, the Gossip Road one, that one we are going to do. It depends on where your unaweka barabara. And also we have engineers who their work is to ensure that the quality of the tarmac, to ensure the quality of the tarmac that is being put on the roads. That is the work of the engineers. We have qualified engineers. Can you hear me?
We lost you for a moment there, but we can hear you now.
Yes. We have engineers who take care of the tarmac, who are trained on the road sector, and that is their job. And that is where now corruption should not come in, because they should not agree with the contractors. They should just make sure that the quality of the tarmac roads and even Maram roads, even the ones that are being graded, are graded well. That is where I'm saying every Kenyan is responsible. Where you are, make sure you're responsible of the position that you have been given. The other one about bus parks and border shades. Yeah. You see, I don't, either whichever way, we have to show what work like Machakos County has done. Yeah. Whether I put my picture, whether I put Machakos County government, my picture is there in Machakos County government. Yeah. And these things have not been happening for our people. Sometimes when things are being done, you do not differentiate them between the national and the county government. So we have decided to show, fine, this is from national government and this is from county government, because every government, every government has to be accountable. Yeah, and na tukubaliane tu vizuri, hata boda shades, we used to have shodi boda shades, the bus stops, hata watu hawangejificha mvua. As a county, we are trying na CGPG trumpet. We are trying. So sometimes I have to fight for myself.
You mean that each and every governor?
I think we are avoiding to have a monologue here, and not because of any reason. But Madam Wavinya, that is Governor Wavinya Ndeti, you have been graceful enough to share your time with us. We do appreciate. Reason I believe Captain was very uncomfortable with the issue of the bus stop having your pictures on. It's because we have been speaking about members of parliament converting the CDF kitty to look as though it's their personal kitty, and anybody seeking to access the fund has to, quote unquote, kiss their feet for that to happen. So that is the reason, but we do appreciate you coming on. We love to listen from other Kenyans and understand what is the uncomfortable truth. But for now, back to you, Obeds. And thank you so much, Governor.
Sorry, can I just say something? I just want to tell him, once I became the governor of Machakos, I ceased being Wavinya. I became a public property. And everything that I do must be for the good of my people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Back to you, Obeds. We'll be running the clock. Oh my God, we already did 12 hours and a half. This is getting scary. We must be able to call this an evening or a morning. We'll give an extension of 20 minutes. Obeds.
Maybe people want to speak more. We'll find out. But then we had I think the next one is Lukwago. Maybe from an outsider looking in, what does he have to say? Lukwago, welcome, and give us your points. Then I'll have Ismail speak.
Am I audible?
Yes, Lukwago.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Actually, for me, I just want to thank Kenyans for standing against the neocolonial tendencies, because now our continent is suffering from colonial traces, okay? Where we have leaders who have proved to be puppets of those Western powers. And those Western powers do okay leaders who had the ear to their exploitative policies. Now, Kenyans, you have proved to we Africans that at least you can stand against those exploitative policies, because those policies are what impoverishing the African child. You've talked about minimum wage. Here in Uganda, Mr. Museveni made it clear to us that he cannot pass a minimum wage simply because it scares away investors. But when you delve deep into who are the investors he's talking about, are his people, okay? Are people from his family who go to the streets of China or India, pick some Indians, they come here, they disguise as investors, okay? That is totally affecting us, we Africans. So you Kenyans, for standing against that exploitative finance bill, you gave us a challenge, we Ugandans. Okay? Thank you so much. Continue doing your best to stand against any exploitative policies being imposed onto your leader, Mr. Ruto, by IMF and World Bank. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lukwago. I hope you guys take it in your hands and take over your government. That said, Ismail, your hand has been up. I'd have you speak and then have Kenyan lady speak. Then we probably start to look at closing, because we've been on for 12 and a half hours. That's too long.
Good morning. Lukwago Jama Menmaliza. Yes, beautiful. Good morning once again, everyone. Good evening to anyone else. Governor Ovinya, as Muslims we say, mashallah. What you're doing for your county is great. You are the few who have the guts to come to a space and speak up. The rest are just cowards sticking out somewhere else. But we appreciate you being here too and sharing your thoughts with Kenyans. I applaud what you have done for the young lady. It's human. So God bless you. We're kind of speaking about the issue with the public participation. I think public participation is a hoax. The reality is that it's supposed to start from the county, the ward level, then come to the constituency levels, and then to the county level. But these things are just hoax. They just say it, but it's never implemented. Although there are clear procedures that are put in law to handle that, but I think those are the few places that we need to put a lot of emphasis in, and we need to do a lot of follow-up. This parliament, you don't expect them to do that, but we will push it as much as we can when we change in Kenya next. And the budgets of the county government, if we reflect on the amount of money that goes to the county government, these guys cannot be given 15%, and Kenyans are complaining about unemployment and all this. What if these guys, I think there was an argument of 45% of the national revenue to be given to the county government. With this 15%, it alleviated a little bit. It gave a lot of employment opportunities to so many counties, and so many youths were employed, yes. But there is a lot of space still. If the theft of the monies that are going to the counties also implemented properly, I think a lot of youths can have a lot of job creation from that. Obeli, I think you talked about the 20,000 minimum wage that some Kenyans are like cannot sustain their lives. Basically, that 20,000 itself, there are some that don't even have it. Leave about 20,000. There are some who will appreciate if they get 15,000 or 10,000 a month. That is the situation we are in Kenya today. If at all they get that 10,000 a month as a salary, bora tu wataishi. They will have something to put into their mouths. But people don't even have that. And the looting that is going on in this government, we have seen left, right, and center. How these guys are stealing. Mwanaume anakuja na bag ya 20 million. Dropping, pop. Pride. Bazu ameangusha. It's like, there is no way you can be told there is no money. Kenya iko pesa. Bro, the budget of this country, hakuna venye tuko tuna operate now with 1.2 trillion. On Kibaki's time, sahi tuko somewhere 3.2 trillion, 3.4 trillion. 3.4 trillion, if we just allocate 600 billion kwa youths, and then the rest education pay implemented, the other ministries can follow up. There's no any joke. There's a very big joke that's going on over here. Hii pesa inaweza create a lot of employment opportunities kwa youths. Youths are creating their own employment now. Wamejitafutia yao, wengine wanajitafutia. Then you come in at unataka kuwa tax na macontent zao na vitu zao. These are the places that need to be lazima to focus. And the technocrats, at least mukabla ma blueprints. We can talk a lot, but we need paperwork. Mfanye paperwork yenu pia. At least we have something to go to the table that we got to implement. And we are not implementing it with Ruto. Forget it. Hii ni game unachezwa. There is no day these guys with these status. There is nobody who is going to implement these things for you guys. Msidanganywe. Ati will have a talk in the table. Then it will not happen. Hii ni mchezo mnapelekwa merry-go-round hapo. Hakuna story. The thing is this, we will push on protesting. It's either these guys leave office, ama tukae ngumu, we make sure the reforms just come into action to play by itself. Tukingojea.
Thank you, Ismail. I really had to cut you, but we need to close the space. It's been on for so long.
We've been all through anyway. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to have Kenyan lady speak, and then we can close down the space. I really appreciate everybody taking their time to be here. We have a situation in our country that requires us to be hands on deck. I love the fact that we're becoming active citizens and we're concerned with what is going on where we are. And it is important that we keep pushing our leaders to get the best. We are paying a lot of taxes in this country and we get so little in terms of service. I'm looking at a possibility of us ensuring that we demand at least education is properly funded, healthcare is taken care of properly, and these some of the basic stuff that people need. After that, we can have a conversation around this. So thank you so much. I would like to have Kenyan ladies speak, and then we probably close.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this space. And I want to go straight to the point. So it has been emotional for the last, 30 minutes since Brave Girl spoke. It's been very, very emotional. And then just look back. I'm asking everybody who is on this channel right now, just look back at how that conversation went. And also look back at how Honorable Wavinya answered questions. This is exactly the sum up of what is wrong with our country. Tokenizing, having no straight answers, and us acting like, how many thank yous have you given Wavinya, you guys, Honorable Wavinya, you guys? We've employed her. When she comes in, yes, she speaks to us. We give them, we give her our thank you. But after she has given us proper responses to the questions, we feel like we are obligated to bow down, to go down to our knees for people who we have actually elected. That is wrong. The whole, whatever happened over the last 30 minutes. That's exactly what is wrong with us. Na ningetaka tujirudie tena mioyoni mwetu, and we really seek and know, are we really in sync with what we are trying to fight? Do we
Kenyan
really,
lady,
yeah,
Kenyan lady.
that's it. But
Yeah,
thank you so much for offering the job.
Sorry.
No.
Can I say something?
It's okay. Allow me, Governor, allow me to set this straight. Thank you, sorry, welcome, our words of respect, that you've taken your time to be here and to be able to have a conversation, however difficult it is. We said Mizani 254 is about listening to everyone, irrespective of what they support. Kenyan lady, you are right to the extent that probably this is part of the problem. However, we did say that we do not appreciate the culture of tokenism because it does not solve the problem. There are not so many people who can be supported in that way. Let's have proper structures. So when we say thank you, it's not because we are trying to placate her. We are doing it because that's the most respectable thing to do. And I think it's normal and proper, however much you disagree with someone, that you can thank them, tell them you're sorry, or tell them welcome. I think it's how I've been taught, and it's proper that we do so. Meanwhile, I'll allow you to finalize your point and then have the governor speak, have Abdirazak, and then we close the space.
Yeah, okay. Shida yangu si eti tumemrudishia shukrani. It is okay. I'm saying that is okay. But I feel that in the presence of our leadership, there's a way that the tone changed. And that's why I'm asking, let's go back to how we were having the conversation before, all this started. That's all I'm saying. There's a way we are conditioned on top of us saying, asante sana. I am thankful. Like I said, I am thankful. But reading across the room, it's like a bowing kind of thing. But it is okay. I think probably maybe I'm the one who is reading too hard into it. I also do not have answers, and it is okay. And it is perfectly fine, and I appreciate that the platform allows for everybody to speak. That's how I felt, which is also should be welcome. I'm not trying to sitaki ati kuleta ati nakandamiza mtu sijui namwambia mtu nini wala nini. No, I'm very respectfully saying that it is very, very uncomfortable how we have handled the last 30 minutes or whatever since Brave Girl spoke. But again, asante sana mheshimiwa kwa kutupatia msichana wetu kazi. God bless you.
Thank you,
thank you very much.
The space is about uncomfortable truth. So your uncomfortable truth also belongs in the space, right? So you don't need to apologize for giving us your uncomfortable truth. Go ahead.
Thank you. So we'd allow, and we are not bowing down to anyone. Here, Governor, will allow you your response, and then that will be your final remark, I think. Then we'll have Abdirazak. I give it back to Scoop, and then Mizani for us to finalize the space. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I would like to tell my fellow lady from Kenya, I'm not here to patronize anybody. I am a Kenyan. I am a mother. And it is also very important for me to get into these spaces and know what our children are thinking about and what they would want to be done. And giving this girl work. And I'm not saying, you look at my history. There's no, we have, it's not about tokenism. No. I've helped many, not only her. And she's a lady. I'm sure she's almost the age of my firstborn son. And I've just had her. And it is very disheartening. So, as a human being and as a mother, what do? I have to do what is necessary. And I can understand from your point of view, as politicians, have disappointed you in so many ways. And that is why you got into the streets. I understand, and I understand you very well. But not everybody is bad. We might not be 100%, but not all of us are bad, and it is always good for us to reason with each other. Let us not Anger brings distraction. Yeah? Anything that we are doing now, if we are very calm, we will be able to come up with very good solutions. It's not about patronizing anybody, no. It's just being calm, thinking the right way, and doing the right thing for our country, because I'm sure all of us love Kenya. And I keep on telling people, whether you go to Uganda, to Asia, to Russia, to wherever, you still be called a Kenyan. So we all want our Kenya to be better. So when I come to this space, don't look at me like a politician. I'm a Kenyan, and a Kenya who loves her country and who wants her country to be the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor. It's hard to unsee you as a politician at the same time, but we understand you first were Vinya before you were governor. I'd have Abdirizak and then go back to Scoop. So that Scoop, we are bringing down the space because we need to close 12 and a half hours. It's a long time. People are tired. Abdirizak, please, 2 minutes. Abdirizak, you can hear me? Looks like he's not there. Scoop.
Sawa. I was not expecting it to come to me so quickly. But yes, thank you everybody for participating. Apologies for everyone that we haven't gotten to, because as you can see, this conversation is endless. We have plenty to talk about, and we'll keep talking. And I'm pretty sure that we'll be doing another space, if not later on today. Most likely later on today, if not, then tomorrow. Because the conversation has to continue. And we have to speak about the things that we do not want and the things that we do not like. We have to continue with that difficult conversation about those things. But we also have to talk about the things that we want to see. For me, this conversation about living wage is not a new conversation. It is a conversation that I've been having ever since I came on Twitter. And actually, even before I came on Twitter, because I've been writing about IMF abuses over 20 years. How the IMF abuses our economies throughout the global south on behalf of American and European companies to ensure that they reap maximum profits, pay minimum wages, and are protected from paying taxes. So these are the things that we want. And the simple reality, Kenyan lady, is that we do have a system where we elect people to represent us. I cannot go and sit down and have a conversation with the IMF as, not being elected and not being a policymaker in government. I'm an economist, so I'll give my opinions, but only the only people that can implement those policies, that can demand, that can say no to the IMF and say, no, we are going to, in fact, we don't need them at all, is where I stand. But anyway, my point being that the simple reality is that there are systems in place whereby the way these things are discussed and where they're discussed and who they are discussed by is the people that we have elected. Now, if you want to change those systems, then we also, those are discussions that we have to have. My other big one that I've always focused on is these issues of food sovereignty, land rights, the issues of GMOs, the issues of manure and fertilizer, the issues of the abuses of, again, Western agrochemical companies that are coming into Kenya, bribing and lobbying and doing whatever they can with our politicians to ensure that they are given everything, all their wish lists of ensuring that farmers cannot exchange seeds. This bill, I believe, if it has not already passed, was going to introduce the outlawing of the use of manure to grow food. We are all Africans. We've grown we have lived for millennia feeding our farms with animal manure. That is the most healthy fertilizer, organic fertilizer. So these things are not being passed on behalf of Kenyans. They're not being passed for Kenyans. They're not being passed for the good of Kenya. They're being passed on behalf of foreign corporations, of Wall Street firms, BlackRock. Our parastatals were going to be given to BlackRock. These are things that I have spoken about for many, many years. And it's time for once that politicians start hearing that Kenyans know these things and make a decision. Are they going to fight for us against these corporations? Or are they more afraid of these corporations and the IMF and their handlers in Washington and London? Or are they more afraid of us? Because what Kenyans have shown is that you need to be more afraid of us, because the IMF is not going to come and help you, because, by the way, they don't care about you. All they care about is their interests. I'm going to yield there. Thank you, everybody who participated. And thank you so much, Brave Girl, for your submission. Brave. I was moved. It was emotional, and it was the truth. It was you spoke for so many Kenyans in everything that you said. I'm gonna yield there. Thank you so much, and I apologize to everybody that we could not get to on this session. Please bear with us. It's difficult to run these spaces and try and get everyone's voice heard. But I appreciate you. I appreciate that so many people want to speak. We will continue keeping holding space so that we can continue with these conversations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brief. Couldn't have said it better. I'm grateful, and I would like to point out to the fact that we started this a year and a half, I think, a year to the date today, I think, and we were looking at issues of governance, policy, and accountability. And when it started, a lot of us felt that this is an elitist conversation, but I'm grateful that Kenyans have woken up. When we started, I kept saying you can't keep preaching to the choir, but I'm so happy that today all of us Kenyans have woken up to the fact that we realize what we do at the ballot and the bad policies that we get to experience are because of what we do at that time when we cast our vote. So it's important that we hold the leaders accountable. They are working on our behalf. These are representative democracy, and the leaders must be accountable to the people, and that is what it is. Kenyans will demand, if there's anything that has to be done, let it be done within the confines of the law and respect for the law. And I think without overemphasizing and diluting what people have said, I want to thank everyone who's taken their time to be here. We are grateful that you've been here. We are sorry for those that we couldn't bring to the speaker. So many people want to speak, but we can only have so many because there are only 10 slots. Forgive us for that, and we hope that when we have another space, we'll have time for you, and everybody probably, all those who can, will be able to speak. I give it back to Mizani. Mizani, thank you very much. Your opportunity to close the space. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a very long night. When we set up the space, we said it's going to be a special sitting. Definitely, it has been a special sitting. I'm imagining if we were to have a national dialogue, those are the lengthy, emotional, boring, agitating kind of conversation people must have. At the end of the day, you can't have your cake and eat it. So what we are saying as Mizani is we welcome every type of conversation when it comes to matters government. It is our interest. It is our forte. So if you want to meet us in our next spaces, we host our spaces every Monday and Friday, but we had to postpone the Friday space to host it on Saturday because we had a similar space on Monday last week, and therefore restarting this coming week, we'll go back to our normal programming, which is last for 2 hours, but we still keep with this conversation around the national dialogue because we haven't really been able to iron out all the issues that young people must address. And I understand there are people who feel cheated. There are people who feel that the conversation does not really take all their needs into account. Remember, Mizani is an independent organization. We are not funded by any government entity, individuals, except 4 individuals who came together to decide they want to do something they love. And my colleague here, Obed, and my good friend Brief Scoop has always worked behind the scenes. We've worked with him on previous
projects, and definitely we are looking forward to meet all of you as we progress the conversation. Number two, there's a difference between Mizani 254 and Mizani Africa. We are at Mizani 254 on all our social media handles. Take a moment to visit us and exchange with us. If you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, not really WhatsApp, but we are actually available on WhatsApp. You can reach us too. The numbers are available on our social handles. For now, I want to wish all of you a great Sunday ahead. Let the conversation continue. And remember, you can't change those who are not willing to change. And at the same time, change, everyone desires for it, but very few will actually be able to go through it. Have a great day. Take care and God blessings. Good night. Good day.